Let's begin the broadcast with breaking news that we're getting in at the moment. We're learning that Prime Minister Modi spoke to the President of Iran. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian had briefed Prime Minister Modi on the recent developments in West Asia, and the Prime Minister also welcomed the understanding reached and also reiterates the need for continued efforts for lasting peace and stability. The Prime Minister also reiterated the need for continued efforts to ensure lasting peace and stability in the region and for safeguarding freedom of navigation as well as commerce. That's the latest statement. That's the latest input that has come in. The Prime Minister now speaking to the President of Iran, taking stock of the situation as far as the West Asia war is concerned. We did see a bit of a breach in the ceasefire that was supposed to be in place between the United States and Iran. Akanksha is joining us on the phone line to give us more details. Akanksha, take us to the significance of the conversation between the two leaders, the Prime Minister and the President of Iran.
Right, and we are all aware that India has consistently engaged with the Iranian side ever since the war began in Iran, whether it is India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar reaching out to his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi, or the Indian Prime Minister reaching out to the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. India has always maintained that there should be dialogue and diplomacy which should be prevailing. There should be stability in the region. India, of course, is trying to guard its own interests when it comes to securing the safety of our seafarers, even, say, the safety of our cargo vessels. If one were to go by the maritime surveillance figures shared by Kepler, we are being told that close to 73 ships have navigated since May 1st, out of which 43 had to turn off their transponders. Most of them are Liberia, Marshall Islands, or even Panama flag, but they are all headed towards Indian ports. And even though India has been aligned with Iran and Iran has largely spared Indian vessels, our safety of the seafarers, and after what we've seen of late transpire as far as the conflict between the United States and Iran is concerned, where attacks took place, and the U.S., of course, attacked Iran as well after Iran targeted one of the vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. India now has renewed concerns for our vessels because, remember, as far as the Asian subcontinent is concerned, India is one of those countries which are heavily dependent on the import of energy. And so we've been heavily impacted by this energy crisis. So the Indian Prime Minister reaching out to the Iranian president is to ensure that our energy needs are met. And even though Iran has been very firm in maintaining that there has to be no other route which can be decided without the Iranian side taken into consideration. The timing of this, remember, is very crucial because in Qatar, we are seeing how the U.S. delegation represented by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, the U.S. President's son-in-law, have already arrived. There will be no direct face-to-face meeting with the Iranians. And we've always been told by the U.S. President that it was the Iranians who asked for the talks. The Iranians, of course, have declined that, but they've maintained that they will ensure that their frozen assets are released at the earliest.
Right, absolutely. Stay on with us, Akanksha, because like you were just mentioning about the talks in Doha, let's also put that into context for our viewers. Amid the efforts to ease the tensions between the United States and Iran, now Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson, he says that the dialogue with mediator Qatar on implementation of the interim deal with the United States is on the cards, and this also includes the release of frozen assets, and it is likely to be on Wednesday in Doha. So it's likely to take place tomorrow. And this statement comes after Donald Trump claimed that Iran had requested for talks and it will be held in Doha. Meanwhile, media reports are also citing Qatar's foreign ministry, and they say that there is no high-level meeting between the United States and Iran that is planned in Qatar. The U.S. envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are in Doha and will also meet the mediators to discuss negotiations. He says, the spokesperson, in fact, says that Qatar is coordinating with Oman on the Strait of Hormuz and on safe passage of the vessels as well. So coming back to you, Akanksha, on this, so it appears now at the moment, while Donald Trump says that, yes, there will be talks between the United States and Iran, and they are, in fact, the ones who are requesting for a meeting, Iran at least is making it clear, and now even Qatar is making it clear, that there will be no direct talks between the two sides, and the talks will only be with the mediators in Qatar.
Absolutely, and perhaps it is a tad bit early to expect any face-to-face conversations to be taking place, because remember, we've already seen a tit-for-tat retaliation occur in the days gone by where, say, the validity of the entire ceasefire was getting challenged. It's still standing on a very fragile and shaky ground at the moment after last week's attacks by the United States and Iran at each other. And so the important aspect of this for both the countries is to ensure that this memorandum of understanding is plied with and that it remains in place. But remember, as we speak, it is Hezbollah which is becoming a huge bone of contention, because U.S. and Gulf nations have already added Hezbollah-linked financial entities to terror designation lists. And even though the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has already said that Lebanon and Hezbollah need to be segregated from this fight between the United States and Iran, Iran refuses to let Hezbollah and Lebanon be separated from this memorandum of understanding. And that sort of is becoming the biggest challenge to ensure that stability prevails in the region, because Israel will not stop till Hezbollah is disarmed. And in fact, as I just mentioned, They are ensuring that Hezbollah-linked financial entities are also sanctioned under terror designations. How will that go down with Iran would be interesting to watch out for, as you mentioned, on Wednesday.
Right. Absolutely. So Lebanon, once again, remaining the sticking point between the two sides. It remains to be seen how this conversation progresses from here in Qatar. Thank you, Akanksha, for joining us and giving us those details.